When I'm not being insensitive to my friends over social media, I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Love the QA 2 questions. Who is the Nickelback of the blues? And rockabilly is so much fun to play and listen to, and there are some really talented artists connected with it. Why is it not more popular? So again, the Nickelback thing, of course, has gotten out of hand, and I didn't assign the blues a Nickelback of the blues just because I knew I was going to get flamed no matter who I chose. So I mean, I guess like if I had to, maybe like Buddy Guy, I suppose. Like post 1980 Buddy Guy is my choice. So flame away, whatever. As far as rockabilly goes, like that's actually kind of a good point because rockabilly is like such a strong guitar genre that is fun to play, but it really isn't represented in kind of like popular culture aside from like kind of certain niche things. I mean, again, I'm not hating on rockabilly. I think that maybe part of the answer is that there isn't really like a lot of variety within rockabilly stuff. And I think rockabilly is also kind of like a bad name, just in general. So rockabilly, it just sounds weird saying it. Rockabilly. I'm in a rockabilly band. Do you want to go see some rockabilly? I enjoyed the rockabilly. What's your favorite rockabilly? I think that's why rockabilly can never be too cool. It just needs a different name. Do you believe we can't develop perfect pitch as adults? Is it really necessary to have ear training from childhood to develop perfect pitch? Anyway, can you make an ear training course? So I think perfect pitch is kind of misdiagnosed, or like the definition of it isn't really like solid to a lot of people. For the most part, perfect pitch is like something you have to be born with. I've only met 2 people in my entire life that have what I would call perfect pitch. One of them is the same guy that Ian knows, our buddy Doug, who's like absolute freak. And another guy is a student I have who's actually kind of like autistic. And it's actually kind of awesome because he tunes a guitar in like 2 seconds. Like he'll instantly know if something's out of tune and he'll just quick fix it. It's kind of like an insane thing to watch. And he's not like a great player or anything, but his pitch is just like righteous. It's awesome. But basically, perfect pitch isn't really just being able to kind of like play by ear like a lot of people kind of think it is. That's more like relative pitch. Like you can play me like a tone, and I'm actually kind of decent to the point because I did some ear training for a while where I can kind of play like I can do the C major scale in my head and find out what tone that is. That's definitely not perfect pitch. Even if I was right every single time I did it, 100% of the time, no exceptions, that's not perfect pitch. That's like relative pitch. Which relative pitch is something that you can absolutely train yourself even as an adult, and it is super helpful. Great skill to have as a musician, just kind of playing by ear in general. Perfect pitch is unnecessary. It can be helpful for a lot of musicians, the very few that are born that have it. Some people say that you can develop perfect pitch. Again, I'm not really hung up on it because really just to be a musician, it isn't necessary at all. You know what I mean? So again, I think perfect pitch is being overblown. I think there's something about just the phrase perfect pitch that makes people kind of like covet it and just kind of having good ears or whatever. But that being said, I'm probably not going to do an ear training course just because there's so many good apps out there. I downloaded one of them. I have one called Better Ears. It's on an iOS thing. I don't know if it's on Android or anything. But there's a ton of great apps out there that'll help you develop better relative pitch and just improve your ears, because just having good ears is an incredibly helpful thing to have as any kind of musician. Hey Sean, I have 2 questions because I'm greedy. In my cheap bedroom setups over the years, I've always used modeling solid-state amps. I've grown pretty tired of their rather dry tones and limited dynamics, so I'm thinking of upgrading to tubes. What are your thoughts on the new generation of cheap 1 to 5 watt practice tube amps like Blackstar, etc.? And also, my main electric guitar is an Epiphone Dot Studio that I usually play sitting down, which leaves a painful indentation on my chest from the edge of the binding. Would you say that the Strat is one of the better ergonomic shapes out there? Muchas gracias. So, first question, definitely the 5 watt amps are rocking now. I've had a Vox AC5 for a while. That is a really cool amp, especially for just kind of practicing in a bedroom. Even tracking, it's awesome because you can really kind of crank it and, you know, kind of drive the tubes in it. Also, the Mesa that I have, the 525, you can switch it down to 5 watts. It sounds fantastic. So I haven't really played the Blackstar one in forever, so I don't really remember how it sounds, but I just remember it not being awful. But yeah, really, I think smaller bedroom style amps is kind of like the way the market is going, and I'm a big fan of them. Even the ones that are like a little bit bigger, like say like an AC15 or something like that, you can still kind of get away with it, getting the best out of the amp and having it not be just like crazy, crazy loud. So yeah, definitely if it's something that you want to get into, I like that AC5 a lot. I think it sounds really good. As far as like Epiphone Dot Studio, that's kind of like a lot like this 333. It's like essentially the same body thing. So yeah, like what the guy's saying is, you know, if you're kind of playing like this, it can really kind of like cut into you. You know, everybody's body type is different. So really, you know, you can always kind of like manipulate how you like have it on your knee to kind of come around from the side of it. But really kind of just practicing good posture or finding a good way to comfortably play any guitar is important. That being said, the Strat is great ergonomically. I actually personally think the Telecaster feels the best sitting and playing for me. But I mean, I'm a huge Strat guy too. So I guess my vote would be on a Tele, but again, everybody's different. Question, how is your experience on building a good tone? For instance, when I turned from beginner to kind of intermediate, I could play many songs on time with clear chords, notes, and so on, but they still sounded like utter crap. I didn't notice when and how I started sounding decent, but that was the thing that came much later and progressively. Is this kind of what everyone experiences, and what's your take on this? Thanks, my buddy. So that's actually a really good point, and I totally agree. I had the exact same experience. I think a lot of times when maybe like you're self-taught and you're learning through tabs, this is something that will happen where, okay, you can diagnose the tab, you can maybe kind of play what the tab is telling you to play, but it won't really sound right. And it's not like you're doing anything wrong, it's just your tone isn't there. So I think that's kind of like a byproduct of kind of like guitar tab culture, is that you're more concerned with the notes you're playing and kind of less concerned with how the actual instrument sounds. So that's kind of what people say when they say the tone is in your hands. Your hands and how they kind of like attack like a fret, or how they kind of grab a note, and how cleanly they process that kind of movement and really making room for like the other fingers and stuff around it. That's all part of your tone, and that's just going to come with time. Now, again, I think you can definitely be more thoughtful about it. I know for a fact I could have been more thoughtful about it, because also too, like if you're playing acoustic guitar, like your listening environment for hearing yourself is really kind of like the worst place to do it, because if you think about it, like you're sitting really directly behind the sound hole. So anybody sitting like in front of you is going to get a better idea of what your tone actually sounds like than you are. So I think one good thing to do is to, however you can, whatever device you have readily available, is to record yourself playing and be able to like listen back to it however it is. It doesn't have to be something fancy. It could just be maybe like an iPhone memo. Even though those aren't great quality, you can still maybe kind of get some kind of idea as far as like how you sound, you know, in November as compared to how you sound in January, and kind of chart that progress. Because yeah, the guy's right, like your tone is something that almost kind of invisibly changes. So I think you can be more thoughtful about it if you have some kind of reference to, you know, listen back to like a recording. But other than that, you know, if you're playing a lot, I don't think it's something that you have to worry about necessarily, aside from just being thoughtful about maybe getting it to sound good instead of just hitting the notes that maybe you're seeing on a tab thing. But yeah, once you're just kind of aware of like, okay, well maybe if I use this finger to fret this note instead of this other finger, it might have a different sound. Or maybe if, you know, I'm kind of palm muting a little bit to kind of get more of a thing. That was, to me, the biggest improvement in my tone, or kind of like what, even like my style, was when I really started kind of thinking about my right hand more than my left hand, and kind of like, you know, maybe hitting certain notes harder, hitting chords harder, and kind of hearing what that does to, you know, the resonant top of an acoustic guitar, or even like driving like an amp, all that kind of stuff. I really think focusing on your right hand or your strumming hand is really important when it comes to tone. So just be thoughtful about it, and maybe you'll kind of notice things that you can improve on and really kind of hone in, zero in on those, and then just rock it out. This vid is stupid AF. Why am I watching it? Man, I don't know, Lit Gang. I guess it's like, it always kind of baffles my mind, like, the amount, if you think it's stupid and you're wondering why you're watching it, because you probably went on some crazy YouTube rabbit hole deep dive thing, it takes so much more effort to comment on something than just leave a dislike and then just peace out. I don't get it. I don't know. Salty Blues comment. So listening homework, I'm not really even sure how to describe this. I'm going to link you to a Randy Newman Tiny Desk concert. I have kind of complicated thoughts on Randy Newman. Like, I used to think I enjoyed Randy Newman more ironically than legitimately, but I think I just love Randy Newman. Like, there's something about every time Randy Newman starts playing piano and singing that is just fantastic to me, and it just puts a smile on my face. So, you know, if we're judging the merits of music by how it affects you, then Randy Newman, I just called him Randy Music because I'm just like disassociating with it. Anyways, just watch some Randy Newman. I don't know. You'll have a good time. It's fantastic. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.